I just finished watching Classroom of the Elite Season 2, and I've got quite a few thoughts, especially about the episodes 11 and 12. Those are the extremely juicy ones. How this season end is, it just ended pretty much on the highest point I think this show has ever gotten to. It was very good. Yeah, pretty much this first part of this season is just dealing with what happens after the boat stuff, and also this, point thing where they're trying to guess the VIP and it was pretty good. But what's actually interesting is that basically early on we get introduced to Karizawa as a character, and basically her kind of story arc begins at this early point in the show. But primarily what I want to talk about is episode 11 and 12, because I think these are basically the best two episodes that we've ever gotten in Classroom of the Elite. Season 1, the stakes weren't actually too high, it seemed, but pretty much the whole entire build up to this last part of the season with Ryuuen. Really the whole entire story arc of Ryuuen basically hunting down whoever is the mastermind of Class D. He's basically trying to find out who has been behind basically every event for the whole entire story as it's gone to this point, basically all through season 1, all through season 2. Ryuuen didn't really seem like too much of a threat, at least in season 1. There wasn't really too much going on in season 1, I felt like, but season 2 really kind of stepped it up and actually made it seem like there's a lot more going on here, especially with Ayanokoji pulling the strings. Not really actually, it's actually interesting that Class D doesn't really need to actually advance anymore. Because Ayanokoji, that's not really his main goal, really, with being here. At least in terms of what his goal is. Because I think there's a major goal shift between him trying to get his class to the A slot, and then whatever Ayanokoji's actual main objective is. Because up until this point of the series, we kind of thought that his main goal was to get to Class A, but it doesn't appear that it actually is. He's got some other sort of mastermind plan going on, I guess you can say. But basically, with all this conflict going on, we get all this stuff. Ryuuen really doesn't know that Ayanokoji is the mastermind, which is kind of interesting, but yeah, Ayanokoji basically set this up to where Ryuuen would not think that he is actually the mastermind. But then what really makes this episode crazy is because Ryuuen actually gets Karizawa because she knows who the mastermind is. At least that's what Ryuen's basically thinking at this point. And so he basically sets up this whole situation where he waterboards her and basically is going to, give the big interrogation kind of thing right here. And he is this pretty much puts Ryuuen at the highest point as an antagonist, basically. And then we get into this last episode where he's basically going to finish the waterboarding job, and Karizawa doesn't actually end up speaking. She doesn't actually rat out Ayanokoji as being the mastermind. And we then find out that Ayanokoji is basically set it up with his teacher and also the student council president. He's basically set up this whole entire thing as a way to confront Ryuuen and basically beat the shit out of him. Dude, he basically walks in here and he's like, I'm the mastermind. Ryuen's like, yo, I can't even comprehend that. Yo, if you're actually the mastermind, prove it, basically, is what his kind of vibe is. He thinks he's so powerful. He's got 4 dudes here that he can basically just take Ayanokoji easily. But dude, and then we get into the fights. There's basically Ayanokoji takes down 2 guys real quick, takes down this dude in the back really easily. He's basically combat efficiency is he's dropping fools like they're flies, not even breaking a sweat, not even doing anything. The animation in this episode was really good. I did like how his fighting style was kind of slowed down, very deliberate kind of fighting, not rushed kind of fighting. Then he fights the girl right here, and then he starts fighting Ryuuen, which this fight, pretty much a lot of this episode is just them fighting, which is one of the best things about this episode. Ayanokoji is basically in top the whole time. However, he does actually let Ryuuen get in some hits, but he kind of blocks them as well. Doesn't really care. Ryuen's backstory also is kind of interesting. I guess he was out in the wilderness, survived by himself, killed the snake because it was going to kill him or something. But yeah, and then Ryuuen basically is like, I have no sense of fear, which is actually quite impressive to actually not have any sense of fear when you're fighting, because it makes him actually an extremely detailed villain. But pretty much as long as you're able to overpower him or be able to actually instill fear into him, then that is really where you break him and he won't ever be like a threat ever again. So basically, Ayanokoji beats him up. He just keeps right hooking him. He just keeps right punching him in the face over and over again. He's like, and then Ryuen's still not gonna give up. He's still like, I don't feel fear whatsoever. And Ayanokoji's like, I don't feel anything. Which is kind of interesting as a character, But he just keeps punching him, and Ryuen's like, oh, I can take this. But then he just keeps doing it, and we basically know at this point, Ayanokoji will basically keep punching him until he feels the fear, until he's completely defeated. And so he does. So that's exactly what he does. This frame right here, I think this is the frame that I keep seeing like thumbnails of also. So I'm finally glad I got to see it. They didn't do the exact same kind of framing, I guess you could say, but this honestly makes it look even more menacing. Like you can see the craziness in Ayanokoji's eyes, or like his understanding of what he's doing, like with every punch he throws. And this one will be actually the last. So basically, he destroys Ryuuen, and I don't think Ryuuen is actually going to have any presence whatsoever after this. I think this is pretty much a perfect way for him to go out. And then he embraces Karizawa in his arms as the senpai that he should, But the last thing he says at the end, basically, is that will be enough, which is very, very interesting because I think he is making this comment to himself, like, this is enough for my intentions on basically what I need Karizawa for moving forward in the story. Like, this is enough in terms of what he has done in here. And then that's the end of the season. That right here is the end of the season. And what a season it was. It was actually super good. From start to finish, I think it's actually been probably one of the best seasons, I guess I could say, out of a show. Mainly because I think season 1 was mostly like build up to a lot of this. Because we got a lot of payoff for like Ryuen's character. We got a lot of payoff for Ayanokoji's character, in terms of seeing like what he's actually capable of. We got a lot of payoff for whatever that the girl is that like is angry but is really, I forget her name right now. We got a lot of payoff for her because in season 1 she just kind of smashed the railing, and we were just like, oh yeah, she's actually kind of crazy. But what a season it was. I'm really excited that, especially since season 3 is actually already announced when they made the season 2. So that leads me to believe is that season 3 is going to play off even more on stuff that happened in this season, like pay off even more to a lot of stuff that's been set up even in this season, even in the season 1. That's basically my thoughts on Classroom of the Elite. I've not really done much these thought kind of videos. I think I'm actually going to do a lot more of these moving forward on my Hokyoku channel. It's very fun to do these kind of videos, especially right after I've watched the episode. Then we can just go right into breaking it down. I think I'm gonna keep this up. But remember to subscribe. I'm trying to get to, I guess I'll put 150 as my next goal. But anyway, it's been me, Hokyoku. I'll see you in the next one. Farewell.